Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope that you all are doing fine. Today we will continue our lessons from pronouns. So we've had the first three. Today we'll do the fourth and the fifth, which is use reflexive pronouns and use relative pronouns. Who and whom. Okay, so reflexive pronouns. So we have the reflexive pronouns. They are pronouns that end with self or selves. So whenever you see the pronoun ending with the self, like this, or selves, that is the reflexive pronoun. So subject and singular reflexive pronouns. So we have the singular reflexive pronouns. We have I, then myself. Then you have you, then yourself. She, then herself. Can you hear me now? I guess it's good, right? Okay, so we also have he, himself. Then we have its, itself, something like this. So these are all the singular reflexive pronouns, all right? So we also have the plural reflexive pronoun. We have we, ourselves, you, yourselves, and then for they, it becomes themselves, all right? So we have a reflexive pronoun is used to refer back to the subject. So it is used to refer back to the subject of the sentence or clause. So used to refer back to the sentence, the subject of a sentence or a clause in which it appears. It should agree with that subject. So a reflexive pronoun must always agree with the subject. So we helped ourselves to some soup. All right? We helped ourselves to some soup. The subject of the sentence is we. So we use ourselves. So there must be an agreement and they must always agree. Okay, so you cannot just put like a different subject and a different pronoun, right? So they must agree. So, for example, we cannot have we as the subject and then we go and have themselves as the reflexive pronoun. It's not possible. So This is like the pattern in which it follows. So we ourselves, you yourself, and they themselves. So we also have, so we have after the guest left, Ami made herself a cup of tea. So Ami is like one person, singular, it's referring to a girl. So it's going to be herself. So after the guest left, Ami made herself a cup of tea. So you cannot say after the girls left, Ami made itself a cup of tea. No. So for example, herself and Ami, they go together. So you cannot just use another reflexive pronoun that is totally different. Okay? So we also have the subject of the clause in which the pronoun appears is Ami. Ami can be called she. Yeah, so if you're referring to like Ami and then you want to say, oh, she did this, okay? So it can be herself. So herself is like very suitable pronoun. Now, a reflexive pronoun can only be used to refer to the subject of the sentence. So you have to take note that is used to refer to the subject of the sentence or clause in which it appears. To refer to someone else or something else, a personal pronoun like me, you, him, her, it, us, or them should be used instead. So if you're referring to someone else, then you have to use this personal pronoun. Okay? So that's the pattern. So, for example, we can have Jake wrote a note for himself. So, because you're referring to someone else, so you say himself. Now, the reflexive pronoun himself refers back to the subject Jake. Now, Jake wrote a note for him. The personal pronoun him must refer to someone other than the subject. So it's referring to someone else, not the same person in the subject. Okay? So yeah. So let's look at some examples here. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. Okay, so it says to complete the sentence with a pronoun that refers back to the subject in bold. So your uncle makes a fool of dash every time he gets on the dance floor. So what would be the right reflexive pronoun here? It will be himself. Okay, so the subject of the clause in which the pronoun appears is your uncle, which can be called he. Okay, so he used the matching reflexive pronoun himself. So we also have complete the sentence with a pronoun that refers back to the subject in bold. So it says you must all strap, then dash, in now. The commander announced it is time to head to the International Space Station. So you must all strap what? Yourself. So you and yourselves goes together. Okay? So we also have when you perform these experiments, you must be careful not to burn the dash with the acid. So be careful not to burn yourself. Okay? So yeah, we move on to the test and you can share your answers if you know. Okay? Complete the sentence with a pronoun that refers back to the subject in bold. I wish Auntie Anne would stop worrying dash about factors that are beyond her control. So, what is the right one here? She or herself? So, what you think? So, herself. Stop worrying herself. Okay? So you must all strap dash in now. The commander announced it's time to head to the International Space Station. So, what is the right one? What is the right one over here? So we have yourselves. Okay? So yourselves. Okay, your uncle makes a fool of Dash every time he gets on the dance floor. So is it gonna be makes a fool of he or himself? What do you think? So he or himself? What do you think? So himself. Okay, so we have a muskrat protects Dash from predators by hiding in a lodge. So a muskrat protects what? Its or its self? Which one? Mm-hmm. So itself. Okay. When you perform these experiments, you must be careful not to burn dash with the acid. So you must be careful not to burn you or yourself. What do you think is the right pronoun there? Be careful not to burn what? You or yourself. Mm-hmm. So it has to be yourself. Yes, thank you. Okay. So we have the next. Now that we have finished shoveling the driveway, should we dash? Should we reward Dash with hot chocolates? What do you think? Should we reward Dash with hot chocolates? So what should we do? So what should we do? What do you think? So ourselves, so we should reward ourselves with hot chocolates. Okay, the actress stormed off the stage announcing, I won't subject Dash to your constant insult anymore. So the actress stormed off the stage announcing, I won't subject Dash to your constant insult anymore. So, what is this one? So, I won't subject myself to your constant insult anymore. So, myself. Astronauts may prepare Dash for microgravity in outer space by training underwater. So, what do you think? Tell me. So, themselves, right? So, we have, did you know that oysters feed Dash by extracting algae from the water? What do you think? Feeds Dash. So, feed itself. So, we have neither of her parents was able to attend college. So, she promised Dash that she would. So, she promised what? What does she promise? So she promised herself. Okay, so that's it for like use reflexive pronoun. Now we'll move into the next lesson for today, which is use relative pronoun who or whom. So this is the next. Okay, so we have relative pronoun introduces a relative clause that describes a noun or a pronoun. Okay, so you have to take notes that the relative pronoun introduces a relative clause that describes a noun, okay, or pronoun. Okay, yeah, can you hear me? All right. So the relative pronouns who and whom give information about people. So when you see the whom and the who, they give information about people, okay? So to figure out whether to use who or whom, restate the relative clause with the personal pronoun. So if you want to figure out how to use which, if you're using the whom or the who, you have to restate the relative clause with a personal pronoun. If the clause uses a subject pronoun he, she, or they, you use who, okay? And if the clause use an object pronoun like him, her, or them, you use whom. So we have the woman who lives next door grows tomatoes in her garden. So you can say she lives next door, not her live next door. Nah. So she lives next door. Then we have Peter whom you met yesterday has four younger brothers. So it's like saying you met him yesterday. Okay? So we have that the dependent clause gives information about people. You can restate the dependent clause with the object pronoun them, and so you use the relative pronoun whom. So that's it for like the who and whom. You have to just take note of how to use them. We have the who when it talks about people, so persons, right? And then when it's like objects, pronoun, him, her, or them, you use whom. But then he, she, or they, you would have to use who. Okay? So let's look at some examples. The coral reef of the southern coast of the island is a favorite spot for local drivers and snorkelers. Several of Owen accompanied on his last underwater excursion. So several of Dash yes, Owen accompanied on his last underwater excursion. So Owen accompanied several of them, okay? Several of them. Okay, so a boy that appears in an 1885 photo of the Transcontinental Railroad in Canada inspired author Kenneth Opel to write a fictional account of a young boy's adventure aboard a train. So, who? Remember that if it can be he, she, they, then it is who. Okay, so let's move on to the test. You can share your answers with me, okay? So we have this one. A boy that appears in an 1885 photo of the Transcontinental Railroad in Canada inspired author Kenneth Appel to write a fictional story of a young boy's adventure aboard a train. So, is it who or whom? What is the right one? Who or whom? What do you think? You can share your answers. So, who? All right. So, complete the sentence with the best relative pronoun. Okay. Dean Kerman Dash invented a two-wheeled electric vehicle called a Segway. Found the first Founded the first robotics competition for high school students in 1989. So is it whom or who? So what's the right one here? What do you think is the right one? So what is this one? Who or whom? So you say who because you can say he invented, okay? Because you can say he did this, all right? So we have Pearl S. Burke Dash wrote The Good Earth, a novel about Chinese peasants' life who raised was raised in China by her American missionary parents. So what? Who or whom? So is it whom or who? Uh-huh. So it will be who wrote the Good Earth. So the cloud. So complete the sentence with the best relative pronoun. The classic Volkswagen Beetle was originally designed by Austrian engineer Ferdinand Porsche. Adolf Hitler had asked to create a small economical car for working class German people. So, what do you think? Whom or who? So, you can say whom because you can say the classic Volkswagen Beetle was created by him. Okay? Okay, so we have natural redheads dash tend to experience pain more acutely than people with brown, black, or blonde hair. Dash require about 20% more general anesthesia before dental or medical procedures. So, what is the answer here? So we have who? Okay, Dr. Malin Zerk, a professor that studied crickets on the Hawaii island of Guam, discovered that a mutation in the genes of male quail crickets prevent their wings from making a chipping sound. So, who or whom? What do you think is the right one? What do you think? So, we have who studied cricket. So, who? Okay. So, we have who. So, Maqbul Dash covered the Iraq War as a journalist in 2004, wrote the screenplay for the film The Hurt Locker. So, what do you think? Whom or whom? Whom or who? So, we can say who. So, we have In 1957, musician Louis Armstrong canceled a U.S. government-sponsored trip to the Soviet Union to show support for nine African American students Dash national government had blocked from entering an all-white high school in Arkansas. So, whom, who, them? What do you think? What do you think is the right one? So, what do you think? So, whom? So, you can say that the national government had blocked them. All right. I'm planning to house seats for the skirt that she met at the community garden reception last spring. So, what? Whom, them, or who? So, you can say whom. Okay. So, you can say like you met him. All right. Something like that. Alright, so the coral reef of the southern coast of the island is a favorite spot for local divers and snorkelers. Several of Dash Owen accompanied on his last underwater excursion. So accompany what? Whom or who? What do you think is the right one? Whom or who? So we have whom. Okay? Alright. So we're done with these two lessons for today that we needed to complete. Next time, we will complete the remaining lessons as we still have more lessons under the pronouns. So we've done the first five. So if you haven't done them, you can make sure that you complete the first five, okay? And then we will continue from this one next time. All right. So let me know in the chat. Do you have any questions? You can ask me any question if you have any. Do you have any questions before we finish for today? All right, so if you have no questions, we will end here for today. I hope that you all have a good night, and until next time, bye.